Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay. I was not feeling great yesterday, but I'm feeling better today.
Good. Good. I saw
Thought
your
I
wife
was
this morning. She was
thought I
not.
was yeah, I thought I was coming down with something, and I was like, oh God, no.
I'm glad you're not. Whenever you're ready, I'll start letting people in.
I think I've just been working way too much.
Mm.
So I think that's the deal.
Yeah.
Okay, good. We're recording, and sure, go ahead and start letting people in.
You got it.
Alyssa, did you see the work I started to do? Well, I think I finalized the email for the next catapult.
I have, yeah, I read the one you did yesterday, but I haven't seen the updates to today.
I think I didn't make an update to it yesterday after I actually just remembered about the comment you made, and I think I should make that change for sure.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Good morning, Mr. Oliver. I don't think he's got his ears on yet.
No, it doesn't seem like it.
No.
Okay.
Good morning, this is Kim. I'm connected through the phone.
Hi, Kim. How are you?
Good, how are you?
We're holding together here. We're holding together. So far it's okay. All right, let me get my notebook because I gotta take some notes. All right. 8, 18, 20. Let's see. Two. All right. That's done, and that is done. Perfect. All right, as we start kind of getting ready here, people should turn their cameras on so we can see your beautiful morning faces. I mean, it's just no fun for me to only show video, right? There we go. See, it just makes it so much better. Good morning, Cheryl.
Good morning, Rick. We didn't want to show cameras today.
Listen, you know, it's okay. This is a friendly, judgment-free zone. I see some of our West Coast folks are starting to pop in. Hello, Sam.
Morning.
Awesome. Great. Well, while we're letting all those folks come in, how is hope everybody's doing okay?
Currently, where we live, we're outside that heat zone that's hitting the whole West.
Oh my gosh, did I see that 130 degrees the other day? Did I see that right?
I don't know where we're within walking distance of the ocean, and the breeze comes off, so it stays cool here.
Nice.
That seems like a nice place to be right now, Sam.
Yeah. Although in Atlanta, it's been, I mean, listen, the last couple of days has been stunning. I mean, really has. It got hot for like a month, and now it seems like it's kind of starting to cool off again, which is welcome, believe me.
It was
Certainly.
this morning here. It was
It's like in the 60s this morning here, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was lovely.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Well, hopefully that means that good things are coming. most definitely.
hot. Ours cooled off and then it got hot again. So I thought fall was coming, but now it's really just hot.
Yeah, well, I hope fall is nice and cool. I really,
Well, I'll tell
really
you
do.
what, we're probably living in paradise here. Here in the office, we do not have air conditioning, and we turn off the lights during the day because we've got skylights. If you can imagine.
I don't know. I'm starting to wonder, you know, really nice weather, no air conditioning, skylights by the ocean. Clearly, we're all doing it wrong.
A decision made many years ago.
Right. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, let's get started. I know that other folks will be hopping in and joining us, you know, over the next couple of minutes. It's nice to see everyone and welcome you. You know, little housekeeping. Everybody give a big good morning to Elissa. She's going to be the co-host today, and she'll be handling the questions behind the scenes, letting people into the room, keeping people out, maybe kicking some of you out if you misbehave. So it's good to stay on her good side overall. Good morning, Elissa.
Good morning. Welcome, everybody. We're so glad that you're here with us this morning.
Awesome.
Is this my turn to tell everybody we're going to leave you on mute? If you have an urgent question or if you have a question, go ahead and type it in the chat. I'll make sure that it answers it for you at any point. Yeah, and he likes to see everybody's face. So if you don't mind, if you would turn your camera on, I know he would appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you, Elissa. Elissa, can you click on the security on the bottom of your screen and give me permission to share my screen?
Maybe.
They don't want to look at me the whole time, believe me.
There you go.
Yep. All right. Let's see if I can do it now. All right, here we go.
Ouch.
Perfect. All right, can everybody see my screen? Wonderful.
Yep.
Wonderful. All right, so I think everybody can start to pick up pretty quickly about what today's theme is going to be. I was in a call last week with this background in my screen with a number of folks, and the person who was running the call said, people were all giving thumbs up about the background, and one of the people said, I don't even think that the meeting moderator actually knows what that is, and he didn't. Poor, poor child. We had to educate him about Back to the Future. But, you know, that happens from time to time. Today we're going to talk about Outlook and Outlook Web and being a power user of them. I'm going to tell you, you know, a little bit of a story while I show you a couple of these things about Outlook, and kind of about where it came from and why now the tide is turning on using Outlook Web versus using Outlook. And it's a simple story. It's one that many of you may not know, but I'll give you a little bit of insight into what it is. A long, long time ago, Microsoft, as they put out a mail client, put out this mail client called Outlook. And it got updated every time that Exchange got updated. It got updated every time that Office got updated. And they continued to add innovative things into it. But as time went by, as most of you know,
I'll talk to you later.
Outlook never really worked to the level that it was supposed to, right? I mean, show of hands, how many times have you run into the situation where you open up Outlook and the wheel just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning, and you just don't understand why? Yeah, you muted me too. Can everybody still hear me? Great. The wheel kept spinning and spinning and spinning, and it never really seemed to work. And then there was this promise that Microsoft made that, oh gosh, Outlook's going to be great. It'll work awesome. It won't bog your system down, all those kinds of things. Here's what happened. No matter how many times we've talked to users or how many times we've talked to other folks about limiting or checking the size of attachments they send through an email, they don't, right? Why can't I send a 100 meg attachment to 50 people, I don't know, at the same time? Why do I have to empty my deleted items? Why do I have to? Because people, we can tell people as IT folks, these are best practice, but 9 times out of 10, people are not going to go and say, wait a minute, let me look at that file size. Let me make sure that when I send that to Kim, Cardell, and Daryl, that I'm not going to clobber their email with this gigantic attachment. And most people don't know that it's a problem until they press the send button. And then they get that lovely message that comes back that says you can't do that. And oh, by the way, you sent it to 100 people, right? So the last time that Outlook really, really worked well was when Clinton was president. It's been that long. It just never really worked well. Never has, and it never will, because of the way that we use email as mere mortals. So what I'm going to tell you a little bit about today is Outlook Web. Outlook Web kind of started its life as a secondary product, kind of a safety net. You were traveling around, you needed to have access to email. Sometimes Outlook works, sometimes it didn't, but there was always webmail. And for the longest time, it was kind of this redheaded stepchild, right? Something that got developed after the fact. As time has gone by, the product has continued to evolve to the point where we are now. Now, there's a very quiet movement that's happening behind the scenes at Microsoft. They are carefully positioning Outlook Web as being the weapon of choice for email. Now, you may be asking yourselves why. Why is it that they've decided to do that kind of all of a sudden? It's the simple answer. The simple answer is that we live in an Office 365 world now. And the cadence that Microsoft had with updating the product every 3 years or such, they have to innovate more rapidly. So the only way you were going to get people to really start to use Outlook Web is if you really started to show that there was a lot of good development happening within that product, right? So we're still in that same mode where Outlook gets updated every so often, but guess what's happening now? Outlook Web, for the most part, has got the same features as Outlook does. It runs faster. It's got more capabilities in some cases. And Microsoft is treating it kind of like a streaming app. And what that means is that there's like this steady diet of changes that are being fed out to the product on an ongoing basis. So when you log in one day, you might notice that there are little things that have changed inside the interface. Well, guess what? None of you had to do an install to make that happen. None of you had to update the software on your machine to make that happen. All you did was open your browser and the new features are there. So from an IT perspective, it's nice because we don't have to be in this endless cycle of updating software over and over and over again. We don't have to worry about compatibility. We don't have to worry about breaking things. A lot of that stuff just kind of streams out, and guess what it does? It just works. And because it runs off of a server, you don't have a lot of the same kind of problems that you have with using traditional Outlook. You don't have a spinning wheel. You don't get burdened with issues because of mailboxes getting too large, or number of deleted items being too many, or the 14,000 items that are in somebody's inbox. Remember, in the 365 world that we live in now, capacity is less of an issue, right? Microsoft's kind of made that abundantly clear. So the reason that I really, really love Outlook Web is because I'm not shackled and burdened by some of these other things that have happened to email over time. I have not used Outlook now in a decade. I have been using Outlook Web. Once we as a company moved to 365, the difference really was night and day. I mean, it was super, super cool. So I want to spend some time this morning showing you some things about Outlook Web that I'm sure that many of you don't even know are even there. Now, fair warning, I'm going to be using my live email, so God only knows what's going to pop up. So if you see something about Amazon, it's a good chance that my daughters are spending money on Amazon. If you see something about guitars, well, that's a habit and hobby of mine, so you may see something in there about that. But you'll see some other stuff too. Some of you may even see emails from yourselves to me. It's entirely possible. I feel like the only way I can give you an idea of how it works is to show you that I'm actually using it. So check it out. The interface inside of Outlook is strikingly similar. I'm going to come back to this screen in just a second. Let me show you what email looks like in case some of you don't know it. How many of you don't know what email looks like? Okay, good. Well, at least we got one person that's being honest. So here's the way that Outlook Web works. Can everybody see my screen? Great. So you can see that I've got some emails coming in down here. The interface is clean, it's nice, it's easy to navigate around. There are a lot of things that are available to you inside this interface and a lot of things that are going on. For example, you can see here that I have my calendar showing. It shows the tasks that I've got coming up, my appointments that are coming up. These buttons up here are kind of your friends, right? So this is the way that the mail opens up just kind of by default. Well, if you click on this button up here, it's called My Day. And what My Day does is it shows you a mini version of your calendar. It'll also show you your appointments that are coming up kind of in an agenda view, very similar to what you see on your mobile device, right? If you want to see your to-dos, you can click on to-dos. And all of a sudden, the list will populate and show you the to-do list items that you've got up here. For those of you that are TigerPaw people, you'll see that my TigerPaw to-dos and my tasks show up inside of Outlook. It's kind of nice. I've got one place to be able to look at everything that I'm doing. So my calendar or my day is really nice because I don't have to flip back and forth between my calendar and other views. It's kind of all right here. If I want to make a new event, I can click here and it actually puts the new event creation right here in line. Again, I'm staying inside of a single pane of glass, which is really, really nice and convenient, right? Also, down here on the left-hand side, you're going to notice if I scroll down, if you're using groups inside of 365, you'll notice that those groups show up over here on the left-hand side. So if you want to see what's going on with a group or you want to send an email to a group, you don't have to go out to, say, SharePoint or Teams or other places in order to get to groups. I'll give you a great example. You know, here's a group right here that is measuring our customer feedback, right? So I can see all the emails that are coming in for people that are using our customer polling and feedback system, and I can come in here and see exactly where those things are without cluttering my inbox. So it keeps it filtered nice and neat and keeps it organized, which I happen to love. Most of you who know me will know that I have a tendency to be, I don't know, slightly organized. These are all things that I do in order to try to keep track of what's going on. Tell you what else I really, really like in here. Inside of here, you'll notice if you look down the left-hand side, you'll see some other stuff here. For example, here are my sticky notes. Everybody, does anybody use the sticky notes feature inside of Windows 10? Raise your hand. Probably one of the single strongest things that you can do. If you hit the start button, you know, or the Windows icon inside of Windows 10 and just start typing in the word sticky, you'll see a little box will pop up. And it looks just like, I know, super exciting, a sticky note. And it pops up on your screen. It's really nice when you're on a conversation or have something else going on where you can just type in some quick notes and then transfer them over to another system if you wish. Just like you would write a sticky note and stick it on the front of your monitor, like your password, right? Because I know everybody does that. So sticky notes are great, but what's really nice is that Microsoft has integrated everything together. As I do those sticky notes, I can see them from right inside of Outlook. And this is all Outlook Web. Super, super nice, very, very convenient. So sticky notes are fun. Now, let's go back in and see what else we have kind of waiting for us in here. Well, inside of the interface, we also have the ability to show the calendar and emails in two different windows. So a lot of you just think that you have to bounce between both of them kind of like this, right? Ugh, so inconvenient. How did Microsoft make that mistake of saying, well, I can't keep that one window open? Well, it's not a mistake. You can keep them open in two windows by doing one of two things. You can either A, little trick, right-click on your calendar icon at the bottom and tell it to open in a new tab. And lo and behold, your calendar's in one tab and your mail's in the other. It's a nice little thing. I like to have my calendar up all day and my email up all day. Everybody else, I know I'm like that. Super convenient to do. The other way you can do it, which I also find to be very easy, is if you're in your My Day, see this little icon up here? Click it. And it puts your calendar in another tab. So now you've got both. This is a really nice way to keep, stay on top of the things that are going on during the course of your day by simply just moving that over. Now, part of the other fun that you have inside of here are things like Compose. Here's your Compose window. This should probably look really, really familiar. But what you may not know about here is that you've got a whole bunch of icons that are down here at the bottom that do different things. Certain ones you know about, right? Like inserting pictures, inserting an emoji, things like that. But you may not know that you can actually have, this is where your message options are. Receipts, encrypting email, digitally signing. That's what these kind of settings are right down here. Okay, that's not really a big deal, right? But you may not know that you can control which one of these icons actually appears down here. And I'm going to show you how to do that here in just a minute. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do just by taking a look around. But this is the Compose window. Looks pretty much like every other Compose window does. Nothing earth-shattering here that you need to know about. The final thing that I want to show you in particular interface, which a lot of people don't pay attention to, is this little picture right up here. Can everybody see that? Can everybody see this inside of their Outlook web as well? This is your profile inside of 365. And if you click on it, you have the ability to see some interesting stuff. One thing in particular that you can see is information about you and what you've been working on inside of 365. This is kind of a little sidebar thing. This is a view that's called Delve. Delve is super cool because what Delve does is it keeps kind of breadcrumbs of everywhere that you've been inside of 365, all the things you've been working on, kind of where you are in your day. You can also kind of see what other people on your team are working on. This becomes really, really helpful, especially if you were working on something and you became distracted by a phone call or an email or something and you wanted to kind of remember where you were. Again, let me show you how to get there. You can come up here and you click on My Office Profile. And it will take you right where you want to be and show you that really nice Delve overview, which a lot of people, once they get used to it, find enormously helpful. So these are the things on the interface that I think are important to kind of bring up to everybody's attention, right? We talked about all these different ones. Any questions about any of these that I've shown you so far? All right. Ready for some more? I'm looking for some big yeses. All right. Thumbs up too. Wow, I got a thumbs up. Awesome. All right. Mail. We live in it every single day. There are so many things that you are doing manually inside of Outlook that you don't need to do manually any longer. Super easy things to do that are really convenient inside of the web version, right? So check it out. I've got, well, let's just say that I've got this email right here. Let's say that this email came in from somebody that I know. I do, I happen to know this. And I wanted to make a task out of this to follow up on it. Well, guess what? Super, super cool. I can highlight information in here that said, let's suppose that this says, I need you to follow up tomorrow. If I highlight that, see what just happened? I know, everybody lean in and take a look. This little box popped up. Let me do that again. I just highlighted this, and these two little icons pop up. I can reply, or I can create a task. Watch this. If I click that button, it's going to create a task automatically. You didn't see me type anything, did you? And if I click on the I can click and edit the task if I want, but it's that easy to do. Let's suppose that this was an email from somebody that said that they wanted to follow up with me about something, just as an example. Well, how many times has somebody sent you an email and they say, hey, listen, I'm available 2 days from now from 4 o'clock to 5. Can we get together and have a meeting? Cheryl reaches out and says, Rick, I need you desperately to tell me how to do this. What does your schedule look like? I'm available Thursday at 3 o'clock Mountain Time, right? I say, sure, Cheryl, anything for you. So the way that most of you are creating that calendar item right now is you'll say, look, Cheryl, I'm going to send you an invite. Well, I can just click here and choose new event, right? And I can type everything in and I can send the email over to Cheryl and invite her in without a problem. Or I can just be a little bit more clever. Here's the note from Cheryl that says that she wants me she's got availability in her schedule. Let me just click on this email and click this button right here. This little button here is reply by meeting. So all of a sudden, I can just reply back to Cheryl. Her name is already going to be in here, right? Because she's the one that emailed me. And I can just set the time that I want to meet with her, right? For example. That's it. Let me go back and show you that again because it's almost so easy, it's quick. Any email that you're in, no matter who it may be for, you can just click this icon here that says reply by email, and it's going to automatically create a meeting request, and it's going to embed the reply and the person. Think of how many steps that saves you. Pretty cool, right? So it's a feature that I use all the time because it just makes my life easier. One of the other things that I have to do from time to time, because it's just part of the job that I do, is I have to send secure emails to people. You know, all of a sudden I'm going to send an email to Sandra. And if I want this email to be secure because I don't want anybody else to see the information inside, I have a super secret keyword that I have that is called secure email. And if I put that in front of a message subject, then what happens is when the email gets sent out, what Sandra is going to receive is not the email text that says this is a test. What she's going to get instead is she's going to get an email that says this is a secure encrypted email from Office 365. And there are a series of steps that she's going to have to go through to unlock it and be able to look inside of it and see exactly what's going on. You notice I didn't have to go through a second step of actually encrypting the email, encrypting the attachment, sending it out, doing all the things that right now are very, very painful for a lot of people. Didn't have to do that at all by simply inserting that subject line. And it's different for everybody. When you turn this feature up, you get to choose what you want that keyword to be. For Cardell, it may be super secret email in a bracket, right? For Kim, it may be don't tell anybody. It can be anything that you want it to be once those security features are actually turned on. But the nice thing is it makes it very, very easy and straightforward to send secure emails to people, and then they can reply back to you in that secure email stream. I can send an email with credentials, say, to Sandra. She can reply back to me and say, I don't like that password, it's too complicated. And then I can reply back to her. And that whole conversation between Sandra and I is completely encrypted. I don't have to do anything else.
Hey,
so
Rick.
it makes, yeah.
So can it go to any email? It doesn't have to be an Office 365 customer?
Very good question. The answer is yes. It can go to any email customer because it's using the S/MIME protocol, Corbin. So anybody's mail system, which I don't know that there's a mail system left on the planet that doesn't observe that, it'll pop up and it will advise them that it's a secure email and take them through the steps.
Wow, that's cool.
Super cool. Very, very convenient to use as well. So secure emails is fun. Now, here's another one. This is one of those features that's kind of like hiding in plain sight. Well, thank you, Sandra. Let's see if it actually came through. So when I want to create a new message and send it to somebody, let's say that I'm going to send it over. Let's just say I'm going to send it to Corbin. There's a feature that's hiding in plain sight that most of you don't even know about. And when I show it to you, you'll be like, oh my God, I love that. I love that. How many of you work on email after hours sometimes? You know, you're working and getting caught up on work and stuff like that. How many of you are working on email after hours and the last thing in the world you want to do is let a customer know that you're working after hours, right? Because right. I'm going to raise two hands because sometimes you're getting caught up on stuff and you don't necessarily want to, and it's really not so much about, most people have moved past the fact of, I want everybody to know that I'm working late. Okay, there's no glory in that any longer, right? I'm not sure there's any glory in that to begin with, to be perfectly honest. But sometimes you want to kind of get that stuff done and get it off your plate, right? Because it feels good. But at the same time, you don't want to open up a dialogue with a customer, say on a Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, because you're going through and catching up on your work, right? So you would love to be able to send email, but kind of have a time delay on. Like, I don't want this to go out for an hour, 2 hours a day, 2 days, right? You want to see how easy it is to do inside of Outlook Web? It's so easy, and it's right in front of you. It's almost shocking. Check out down here. send later. And I can come in here and I can say, well, I want this to be sent out either at, I don't know, 10 a.m. on the 19th if I want to, and I can click send. And Outlook does the rest. It puts it in a queue behind the scenes. So if you want to work on emails and compose responses to people, and you don't want them to say come out of your inbox until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, all you have to do is click right here and choose send later. It's hiding in plain sight right there in front of you, right? I use this all the time in order to get caught up on work and then have stuff go out the next day or a couple of days after that. That's where it kind of lives. Really, really neat. The other thing that you can do is you can also have something called undo send. Now, this has been around in Outlook for a little while, but people just didn't know about where it was inside of Outlook Web. If I click send down here, I can click undo, and it will pull the message back. So you can have it set for a certain period of time. Some people like it set for 15 seconds. Some people like it set for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It's entirely a matter of preference. But if you hit the email too quickly and you send it out the door, you can immediately call it back so that you can make changes to it and say, oh, wow, I didn't really mean to call my customer by that name. I meant to call them by this name, right? So it becomes a little bit of a safety mechanism in there. Especially if you've got a lot of stuff going on around you all the time, right? Which all of us do. It's just the way that things happen. So this is the reason why these features exist, to kind of make it, you know, a little bit easier on the stuff that you're doing to make sure that you can make the magic happen the way that you want it to happen, right? All right, so we talked about creating tasks. We talked about sending secure emails, sending later. We talked about all these different things. We're going to come back to customizing icons in just a minute because it's in the settings area, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the settings here in just a minute or two, and then you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. Everybody with me? Any questions? Has anybody learned anything new yet that they didn't know about Outlook Web? Oh, I love it. Perfect. Perfect. All right, let's keep going. Calendar. See if anybody, everybody like the dates? Look at that. Okay. By the way, the bottom date is the date that Decision Digital started operations. That's what the significance of that date is. Okay, so calendar. Calendar's got a lot of cool things and a lot of things that are just kind of hiding out there that you haven't seen. So let's talk about things like Zoom integration. Right now, many of us are kind of moving between a couple of different worlds. We use Teams, we use Zoom, because not either one of them doesn't do everything we want it to do, right? Okay, that's cool. It's just the way that the world is. So if you want to create Zoom invites and you're in Outlook, well, you have a little plugin you can install. Here's the problem with some of the plugins in Outlook. Those of you that are in IT already know this. Those that are customers, you just curse us for it. A lot of plugins that are inside of Outlook get flagged as being nefarious by antivirus systems, malware systems, ransomware control, add-ins that are inside of Outlook. They're kind of something that's there that Microsoft doesn't really like, but they have to permit for convenience. But many times the antivirus solutions and such get a little overzealous. They flag them, they disable them, they do different things in order to make your life, well, just to make your life a little bit more or less convenient. You don't have that problem inside of Outlook Web. In fact, you can add applications into Outlook Web just like you do inside of regular Outlook. Here's what I'm talking about. If I go to compose a new message, if I wanted to insert meeting information in here, I could by clicking on the icon. I don't have the Zoom one in front of me at the moment, but I can actually go in here and create, well, let's go to the calendar and I can show you. I think I've got it on that side. I do. Let's see. Here we go. Can everybody see the calendar invite window? Great. See what I have at the top here? This little icon that says Zoom. If I click on it, I can choose add a Zoom meeting. And what it does is it automatically embeds my personal Zoom information as the invite. And then I can put in somebody to invite. And I can come in here and I can set the time. Now check it out too, what it does, what I love. It shows me when I have available times right here in line. So I can come down here and I can set a time to meet with Frank. That's it. I didn't have to copy and paste. I didn't have to go into Zoom and create an invitation and then put all the people in order to email it out. Most people think that this feature is only available inside of Outlook. It's inside of Outlook Web too, which I love. These are just add-ons that you can just click right here and add in. You see I have one for OneNote, I have one for Zoom, and I have one for what's called Insight, which we're going to come back to that in a second because that's a super cool little trick. But really, really easy to do to add a Zoom meeting. That's all I have to do. Simple. Let me show you how to do it again because sometimes I may move a little too quick. New event, Zoom, add a meeting. It's that easy. Now, if I wanted to make this a Teams meeting instead, even easier. If I wanted to make a new event and I want to say meeting, nice and boring, let me invite Frank because Frank loves to be in meetings with me. And if I want to make it a Teams meeting, that's it. That's all I got to do. And then off it goes. Frank will probably decline it immediately. If he's smart, he probably would. That's all it takes in order to create meetings. Now, let's dive into the settings real quick for the calendar because I'm going to show you something that you didn't know even existed. So here's the settings gear in the top right-hand corner. And this is for calendar, for mail, for everything inside of Outlook Web. Now, I'm not going to explain to you what all these different things are because I think most of you know what a time zone is and your date format and stuff. But look down here. See this view all Outlook settings? Watch this. I can go to calendar and I can come over here and I can look at all these different things that are available, right? Pretty cool. But what I'm looking for is, where can I find it? Well, I'm going to need to come back to that in just a moment because I can't. Oh, here we are. Events from emails. So inside of Outlook and in the calendar, you can actually tell Outlook Web when invites come in for different things, what to do with them automatically. Have you ever noticed, and maybe some of you have noticed this with using your using Outlook Web, all of a sudden when something comes in that is a tracking for a package or something, that automatically puts this really nice, cool little banner inside of Outlook that shows tracking information from Amazon and when it's going to arrive and all that kind of stuff. This is where you can actually tell Outlook Web what to do with those different kinds of things. So for example, you can tell it to pick up on package deliveries and flight reservations. It basically looks at those emails as they come in, it determines what they are, and then it can automatically do some special things with them. When I book a flight, when the Delta email comes in, there's a banner that comes across the top of my Outlook Web that shows me all the flight information. And it automatically drops it into my calendar so that I know that I have a flight on that particular day and that particular time. That level of automation is all controlled from right here. It's a super nice integration. I absolutely love it. It makes my life a whole lot easier in order to work through things. So inside of here, under calendars and events from email, that's where you have the ability to control all these different kinds of things. Also, while we're in here, you can also enable the weather, which is nice. You can have the weather show up inside of your calendar as an icon that you can click on. And when you click on it, it shows you, I know, wait for it, the weather. So you can see what's going on in the city that you live in or a city that you're going to potentially travel to, right? There was one other thing that was in here that I'm going to show you, but I'll have to come back to it. Here we go. I'm going to come back to the calendar thing in just 1 second. Back to the settings. Inside of here, you can determine what your meeting hours are, etc. I love this little feature that's right here, end appointments and meetings early. A lot of times we all schedule meetings that are for 1 hour, but you really don't want them to be for 1 hour. You may want them to be 55 minutes. That last 5 minutes you may want to use to do housekeeping, setting up the next appointment, maybe answering questions, things along those lines. So inside of Outlook, believe it or not, you can tell it to automatically set up your appointments to end meetings early. Less than an hour, you can determine how early you want them to be. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, etc. It will basically look, if you have a 30-minute meeting, it knows to give you 5 minutes at the end to kind of close things out. If you have a 1-hour meeting and you want to have 10 minutes on the front end, well, by gosh, you can put in 10 minutes, and it will allow you to end your meeting just a little bit earlier than you normally would. It's kind of a cool little feature. It also helps to keep you on track. I love that. I love being kept on track. Birthday calendar, I think everybody knows what that is. I won't tell you about that. Customize actions. This is the area that is inside that you get to actually turn on those little icons for things that you've installed, like Zoom, like OneNote. This is where you make that magic happen. So what you turn on in here is what appears kind of at the top inside of the calendar. I find that a lot of people, when they put these add-ins in, they don't know where to turn them on. This is where you turn them on. Is right in here. You put a check mark next to the ones that you want, and they will appear in that calendar new event window whenever you go to create one. Any questions about any of this so far? Okay, great. All right. Another question that I get asked really, really often is, I got an email in from somebody and I clicked the little button in order to bring it into my calendar, but it just doesn't seem to work. It created this little ICS file. Now, when I was in Outlook, I could just click on it and it would open right up inside of it because it's the default program. But I don't have any way of doing that inside of Outlook Web, Rick. That program that you thought was just so great, well, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. It can't do that feature. Well, it actually can. It actually can. Here's how you do it. If you save that file, that ICS file, to your desktop, you can choose Add Calendar. And once you choose Add Calendar, you can come in. Actually, I'm going to take that back. You can add the calendar, and then you can import the file. If I click here and I browse, let's go to my desktop. You'll see that I have one up here, right there. It's a webinar. And if I open it up, it says what calendar you want it to drop into, and I click that, and I choose import. Done. It's rare these days that those things don't automatically pop into your calendar, but some people, look, not everybody in the world uses the Microsoft products. There's a few people left out there who are using older systems. So if you want to be able to bring those ICS files in, you can do it that easily, and they drop right into your calendar, and everything is good. Now, while we're in here, I'm going to give you probably one of the things that you had no idea that Outlook and Outlook Web could actually do. Check this out. I think this is super, super cool. Did you know that you can put your school calendar right into Outlook Web? No, you didn't, did you? I put in my zip code, and it pulls up different counties. Let's say I go to the Atlanta Public Schools. I can find the high school, and I can put a check mark next to a high school that my children attend, and it pulls the calendar for the school right into your calendar. How many of you have done that time-honored tradition of going through with your kid's calendar and stacking all that stuff inside of Outlook? And boy, is it a pain in the backside to do, right? Every single year. Oh my gosh, how many possible programs could this school have that I have to put into my calendar, right? Just go to schools, put in your zip code, and then it's going to give you the schools that are in your general area. It's really a neat feature. Look what else is in here. Anybody like to watch TV? What programs are on? Maybe I can go out here and find some of the programs that I like to watch and have them automatically added into my calendar. You know, recurring movie, recurring series and stuff like that. Hey, I can just put a check mark in here and it will find the times and it will add it into my calendar. Yes, there are a lot of people that are out there that like keeping track of their television programs inside of their calendar so that they don't miss them. The same holds true for sporting events. Look at that. These are all things that are just embedded right there. How many of you knew that you could do this with Outlook Web? Nobody, huh? It's pretty cool. Microsoft does add things in here. Same with holidays. If you have certain holidays that you observe that are, outside of the normal US holidays, you can simply add them from right here. Just about any kind of holiday list that you wish to observe. They're all right inside of here. How did I get there? You got to add calendar. And then down here, you'll see them. Pure and simple. It's a great feature. It's one that is kind of that nobody really knows about, and that's why I'm showing it to you. How cool is that? Questions? Great. All right. So last thing I'm going to tell you about is just some kind of typical things that you should do. And these are safety features as well inside of Outlook that you really should be doing. Number one, if you definitely should go into your settings inside of Mail, and you should turn off anything that, all the stuff that has to do with focused inboxes and those kind of things, you definitely want to turn off. What you've probably noticed is that sometimes you go into email and emails that you think that are there, all of a sudden just disappeared, right? They're somewhere else, and there's an icon across the top that says focused mail. You want to turn focused mail off. Focused mail is it's good as an idea, but the idea behind focused mail was that let Outlook kind of figure out what it thinks is important and put it towards the top and then filter everything else out. What I find happens most of the time is that people miss out on important emails when focus email is turned on. So I'm going to recommend that you turn that off. Also, for safety, you should always make sure that inline attachment viewing is turned off. By default, it is turned on. And we absolutely don't want that to happen. See, a lot of these attachments that are coming through right now with email, sometimes they can contain payloads, they can contain viruses, they can contain all different things that are definitely harmful to your computer. You don't want it to automatically show you and open those files that are coming through. Yes, it requires another step. Sometimes you got to click on the button that says show blocked content. Everybody should understand there's a reason why it's blocking the content. It's because it thinks that it could carry something nefarious. So if you're in the practice of enabling those things to automatically come through every day, all the time, you definitely should turn those off so that you don't have any kind of an issue with them. The rules-based engine, pretty simple. If you want to route your mail based on certain conditions to certain folders, you can. That's inside of the rules engine area. I want to give you caution here, though. And believe me, I've run into this many times with people over the years. I have had people who have said to me, "Oh man, let me tell you, Rick, how organized I am about my email." Right? I stay on top of my email all the time, every day. See, I've got this long list of filters that I have inside of the email. Whenever mail comes in, it automatically routes to this folder and this folder and this folder. My inbox is clean. Life in the world is actually really good. Here's the trouble with that type of approach to email now. How many of you get less than 100 emails a day? Nobody's raising their hand. Nobody. How many of you still think that email is a remarkably effective way to communicate? How many wish that you could just turn the damn thing off half the day? Okay. So the inherent danger with having filters that automatically route mail and drop it into folders is that you'll miss something. See, your mind doesn't take you to a place of looking at your email folders and figuring out which one of these have got numbers in them and then drilling down into them. It's far more effective, as overwhelming as it may sound, to have everything landing in your inbox and then deciding what you wish to do. Use your folders for places where you file things, not where you route things, because you'll get that call. And everybody knows that call that you get. Hey, did you see the email that I sent you, I don't know, a week ago? That had important information in it, like, I want to give you a raise. I need you to do this for me, and there's a deadline. And you're like, no, I never, oh, shoot, there it is. I have this filter set up. All of Rick Harbor's emails automatically go into my junk mail folder so that I don't have to worry about them. Well, he sent me something important, and it landed right over there. That's the inherent danger with setting up a lot of different rules inside of mail to filter out your email. Only filter the ones that you really want to track for historical reasons that don't need any kind of action. If you're going to be acting on email, keep it in your inbox. Try to touch it once, move on to the next thing. And also, by all means, try to resist the urge to respond to every single email as it comes in every single time. There's a sense of urgency for some things, there isn't for others. It's really, really important to kind of handle it that way. So rules, only use them for certain things when you have to. Last two things. All the time I get asked by people, okay, I can't really look inside of Outlook and or Outlook Web and see how big my mailbox is, what mobile devices are hooked up against it, all that kind of stuff. Yes, you can. You totally can. Go to General, go to Storage, and here you'll see where all your mail lives. Scroll down, you can do maintenance, you can do cleanup, all from right here inside the web. Same holds true of your mobile devices. How many mobile devices are connected to my account? Well, I can see right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 devices that are all checking my email. Well, if you see something in here that doesn't look right, you know, you can immediately take action against it. You can remove it, do something about it. This is where you can see that inside of Outlook Web, right? Kind of cool. I can see everything that's going on, everything that's dialed in. Last thing I'm going to show you today is something called Insight. Now, you probably saw when I was clicking on the calendar a little bit earlier, you saw that little button, but you didn't know what it did. How many of you have actually used Insight before? Anybody? Cardell has. How many of you have noticed in the last, I don't know, 2-3 weeks, how many of you by show of hands are getting an email every day from Microsoft that shows your daily summary? It's coming out from Cortana, usually. Frank's raising his hand. I get it every day. I get it every day. Alyssa's probably getting it every day. So there's a little artificial intelligence engine that's working behind the scenes, and what it does is it's looking at the emails that you're sending out to people, and it's picking up on keywords of things that you need to do. For example, I may have sent Kim an email that said, I'll get you a quote tomorrow. It picks up on the words quote, tomorrow, and it puts it in the list, and it asks you, does that need to be a task, or have you already taken care of that? So you get a really nice summary email from Microsoft every day. That's the Cortana email. That's really got helpful information. The other part of that, the larger part of that, is this really super cool thing that's called Insights. Now you can see that it appears right here inside of my calendar. I've also got a shortcut over here that I've embedded inside of my browser to get to the larger screen. What Insight does is Insight looks at your daily activity, and then it makes suggestions on how you can become a little bit more efficient and more effective. For example, if you're spending too much time in meetings, if I'm spending too much time talking to, say, Alyssa, Frank, or Steve, if I don't have any quiet time, if I haven't set up any focus time, right? It knows that I've had 5 meetings in a row and that I need a break, that I need to carve out some time so that I can be working on the things that I need to be working on. It's remarkably intelligent when it does this. This is a little mini view that picks up information. The view that I actually prefer is the one that's the larger dashboard view, which is here. It's kind of similar to Delve, but what it does is it takes a look at your activity as a user, and it kind of gives you some really nice high-level metrics. I love this. It can tell me about if I've been planning focus time, who I've been collaborating with. Am I taking good care of myself? Like, do I have enough time away from the screen? Who I've been collaborating with, right? It also looks here to see if I've got quiet hours. Look at this here. This is interesting. During working hours, you read over 3/4 of your emails within 30 minutes of receiving them. And it's telling me that that's a bad practice. How cool is that, right? It's information like this, you know, health and well-being, that's really, really important. I also like focus, because what this has taught me, see, I used to run my schedule in a very certain way. I would block out a week in any given month, and I would have no engagements during that week. And that worked for a long time until we got to COVID. COVID automatically found me, like most of you, seems like you're in meeting after meeting after meeting, back to back to back, video calls, whatever they may be. Wears you out. How many of you have had that experience of you've been in meetings all day long and you haven't even touched your task list, right? Yep. How many of you said to yourselves, looking at yourself in the mirror, how did you let me do that, right? Because we control our schedule. We've allowed that to happen. All of a sudden, you just got clobbered. So focus taught me something. Focus taught me that I have to put blocks of time in my schedule that I have for just doing the work, the high production work that I need to do. Here's the lesson with all this. There is no way, I'm going to use Cardell as an example. Cardell's been in 4 meetings today. And then at 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Cardell's going to engage in his production work for the day, right? He's behind already for the day. And then he's got to dig into a project that he's got to work on. And somehow Cardell's got to muster the energy and the focus to kind of get back into that head down mode of being able to think in order to process through the project work that you need to do, right? Does this sound familiar? It is enormously challenging to do that, especially if you've been on meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. What's even worse is if you have a meeting, say, here and a meeting here that's bookending you. And then you've got an hour and a half of time and you've told yourself, ha, 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 you've told yourself, oh yeah, I can knock out all that proposal work in that hour and a half. I'll get right through it. No big deal. It takes you 30 minutes just to get back into your chair and focus on what you need to do. And before you know it, the phone rings or somebody in your office sends a message to you that says, I just need you for 5 minutes, right? You have to understand that the way that your mind works in this type of an environment when you're dealing with these kind of things, it's really better that you carve out focus time in your schedule daily, that you can actually turn the noise down, get things where they need to be, and you can concentrate. And I think that's really the most important word, concentrate on the things that you need to do and give yourself kind of an uninterrupted block of time to get that stuff done. I need that when I'm doing engineering work. There's no way that I can think through a network design or a consulting project or anything. I have to have that continuous time, and wherever possible, I need to have it uninterrupted. Because if I start for 15 minutes and then have to come back 30 minutes later, it's really hard to re-engage. And then actually, here's what happens. It takes more time. That's what happens. So Focus taught this to me. Focus automatically goes into my schedule based on analyzing my schedule, and it creates these blocks of time. Look, you can see them in my schedule. These blocks of time that are called focus time. And when I go into focus time mode, it automatically sets my teams to do not disturb, and I can actually hunker down and get project work done. Here's what I have found. This was a great test that I did of myself over the last 4 weeks. I have found myself to be monumentally better prepared. I've been going through work and getting things done and getting traction better than I had with that blocking out of the 1 week. You need pieces each day in order to be able to do it. You'll notice that it doesn't happen at the same time each day. But this analytics system is intelligent enough where you click the button and it will go out and it will plan 2 weeks out and block all that time automatically in your schedule. I find it to be enormously helpful. It'll teach you some good habits. And you can go through here and you can click on some of the other areas as well. This is really cool. If you're inside, if you click on the waffle menu inside of 365, one of the things you'll see is My Analytics. Click on it today. Start to read through it and allow it to make some decisions and line some things up for you. I think you'll find that it'll be enormously helpful. Pretty cool, huh? All right. So let's open up the floor to questions. There's a lot of cool stuff that I've covered today. All these things are inside of Outlook Web, so by all means, you should definitely take advantage of them. Go ahead.
Hey, Rick, Alan here.
Hello, Alan.
Hey there. This was wonderful. Have you recorded this to where
Yes.
we can go back and look at it?
Absolutely. It's been recorded, and what we'll do, it's a great question, Alan. Thank you. Once the session is over with today, like we did for the Teams session, we'll send out a follow-up email. It'll have a link to the PowerPoint deck that I've used today. It'll have a link to the recording. We've also got an Outlook Web cheat sheet that shows a number of the commands and such that I've used today. By all means, please take that cheat sheet. You put it out there for your users. Put it out there to your customers so that they understand exactly how to use these things. And I think you'll find that enormously helpful.
Awesome, man. Really good.
Thank you, Alan. Anybody else have any questions or want to know about whether Outlook Web can do something or not do something?
I have a question, Rick.
Yeah.
there's been a couple of times that they've had to reload my inbox when we did the conversion last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got multiple copies of old emails, and so is there a way, or is there a simple way that I can just combine all these folders and then it will parse out duplicates?
A wonderful question, Sandra. Let me show you, and it's a feature that I didn't cover, but I'm going to show you, it's pretty cool. So let's suppose that you have a bunch of emails that have come from a certain place, and you've just been flooded with them, right? Or emails that are from a certain address or a certain type that you're like, wow. And in my case, you can only imagine being in IT, I just get a flurry of alerts every day that come from different systems. Sometimes I just want to get rid of those messages because I don't need to see them, or in Sandra's case, I want to grab a hold of the bulk of them and move them. But I want to be able to grab them, not manually selecting one at a time and then moving, select one, select one, select one. There's this really cool feature that is called Sweep, which is here at the top. And if I click on Sweep, what it does, in this particular case, it's looking at this message here that's called from Exclusive Networks, and it's giving me a choice of what I want to do. You know, move messages from the inbox, I can delete them, I can move them over to another folder. So in Sandra, in your case, I can tell it to move messages that were from this particular person that are older than, say, 10 days. I can tell it to move it to another folder. So we can go and look at some of those messages by subject matter or something, and then tell it to sweep them, and it will just go through and yank them and move them over into those other boxes.
Right, but I have multiples in my favorites, so under my inbox, of when my original inbox from the old system was copied over multiple times. So I've got iterations of it. I've got an inbox and then stuff, and then inbox and stuff with different dates on it. And I want to be able to combine all of those and make sure that I have just one copy of all those emails.
So you want us to kind of merge the inboxes together is what you want to do.
Exactly, and then parse out the duplicates because they're going to be duplicates.
We can totally do that. Well, you know, Frank, can you capture that for us? And we can certainly work with Sandra to get that done. Excellent.
Thanks, Frank.
Great.
But I do like the sweep thing. That was awesome.
Sweep is really, really cool. I use it all the time for doing a lot of things. So most definitely use the sweep in order to clean up, especially if you've got an inbox that's just overloaded with a bunch of stuff. Sweep is really, really good. So yeah, by all means, use sweep. Sweep is also safer than putting in a message rule. Sweep is kind of, got?
I'm sorry, how do you get all those things across the top?
Right here?
Yeah, because I don't have those. I just have send and attach.
These usually show up dynamically, but you can also go into the settings in Mail and it will also determine those. So in my case, most of these show up dynamically across the top.
Huh. All right, I'll play.
That's the best part of it. Play, play, play. For sure.
Hey,
For
Rick.
sure. Yeah.
So what is the, if getting off of our normal Outlook and getting into this, what does that look like? Is it a big deal?
No, not at all. In fact, you know, one of the, it's almost like you're foreshadowing, because one of the things that I have, you know, the last slide that was out here really was to take a 30-day challenge, right? And start using Outlook Web. You should be able to, if you're in the 365 world or even in the Exchange world, if you just go out to your account inside of 365, click on the Outlook icon, it should all be there for you, right there. So, you know, in my case, you know, there's a couple of different ways that you can get it. You can go to outlook.office.com, or if you're in 365, which, you know, if you log in, for many people, it just looks like this. You can just click on the waffle and you can click on Outlook, and it will take you right into Outlook. So if you log in, if you go to, I think it's login.microsoftonline.com, I think is the link.
All right, so we could easily convert everybody over to that. And
it is, the conversion is completely painless. If you log into your 365 account and click on Outlook, it is all right there. Everything that you need is right there. And Everything synchronizes back and forth. One of the things that I think you all are going to recognize immediately is speed. I mean, it is fast. And Microsoft, as I said, continues to do, everybody should be aware that the innovation that Microsoft is doing in their email client is right here. This is the place where the magic is happening, where they're pushing out updates on an ongoing basis, adding features, adding capabilities, adding functionality. It is all happening right here. Outlook lags behind for a reason. You know, there's no glory in running Outlook as a full client on your machine any longer, unless you just like to frustrate yourself. The web version works great. It's the same anywhere you go. All your information is always right where you want it to be. One other thing that I neglected to show everybody, how many of you still send email attachments with files and such? Most everybody, right? How many times have you gone complete caveman knuckle dragging, message by message, to try to find the file that I sent over to, say, Corbin, I don't know, a week ago? I remember what the file is called, but man, where was that message that I sent to him? Well, I mean, I can go to search. The search inside of here is super strong, very, very fast, faster than Outlook. Here's another little hidden trick. Any files that you have sent through email, if you click on this little button down here, that's the paperclip, it shows you a list of every file that you've ever sent an email by date order. I can go find that message really, really quickly, find that file that I sent, who I sent it to, and then get to it, rather than surfing through all my mail, my sent items, you know, burning all that time to do that. You don't have to do that any longer. It's right here where you want it to be.
Thank you. Why didn't you tell us about this 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Because
how do you get the paper clip?
What you may have is depending on the way that you've got you may have to stretch this window open just a little bit. If it's not appearing, then it's just being hidden by your functions. So a lot of times when the view comes like this, you may see 3 dots in the lower right-hand corner or the lower left-hand corner. And if you click on those, you'll see it.
Wow.
Why didn't I tell you about this 10 years ago? Because Outlook Web 10 years ago was not nearly as strong as it is now. It really wasn't, I mean, I used it every day because I didn't need to use a lot of all those other cool little functions inside of Outlook, like quick reply and some of the others. Me personally, I didn't need to use them. My people in my office have laughed at me for a long time about just using the web version of email. You know, you should use Outlook and this. I'm like, I don't have mail problems. I never have mail problems. As when 365 came around and Microsoft started to pour a lot of research back into email clients, they made a very conscious decision that if they could get around compatibility issues, if they could add functions and features kind of on the fly, people would be a lot happier and they would actually have a mail client that they enjoyed using. That's why they've put so much time into Outlook Web. It made it easier with 365. And remember, think about what you all kind of know about 365 at the moment. This is the place where new applications are born. The statistic is something like 25% of the people that are in the Microsoft ecosystem with Office at this point only use the web version of Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Why? Because they're strong. I mean, look, I can't do complicated stuff like I do in Excel in the online version, but man, it can do a lot. It can do a whole lot. Everything has been kind of gravitating quietly there. And if you take a look at the cadence that Microsoft's developed over the last 12 months, think about something. Where is the very first place that they introduce new applications? They introduce them in 365, but they're web-based. Sway, Lists got released last week. It's web-based. Sway is web-based. Planner is web-based. Kind of see what's going on. They're moving more and more into that. And Sway's the only one of those 3 programs that I just mentioned that has a companion desktop piece. And it's really not even a desktop app. It's just a little wrapper that's wrapped around the web-based version of it. But Planner, Lists, all those other things, all on the web. Same with Teams. What most of you don't know is that Teams was born on the web, and then they wrote a client for PCs. But if you open up Teams in the web, guess what you're going to see? It looks exactly like the version that you run on your desk. This is the way that they've been going. They're going to continue to do this. There'll still be an Outlook client that's out there for a period of time. But as time goes by, you're going to see one day you're going to get an announcement from Microsoft that says they're no longer bundling Outlook inside of the software because they don't need to any longer. The Outlook experience in the web is much stronger, it's much better, and it's much faster, especially as these mailboxes continue to get larger and larger and larger.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Rick,
Yes.
can you send a larger file through web?
It doesn't, the limitations on file size are consistent across Outlook and Outlook Web. I can tell you that the files will go through the system faster when you send them through web because it's all being uploaded directly to the server and then immediately going out the door. So you don't have a tendency, one of the things that doesn't happen with Outlook Web when you're sending an attachment is your machine doesn't stall as the attachment is going out through Outlook, right? The way that Outlook works, if you're going to send that message to say 20 people, Alan, it generates all 20 of those messages on your local machine, attaches the attachment to each one, and then sends them out the door. With Outlook Web, if you're sending the same message, it sends one copy of that attachment up to the server, and then it automatically generates those messages to the 20 other people so that you can get back to work.
Got it. Got it.
Anybody else have any other questions? Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
I hope that everybody found this to be informative. I hope you picked up some tips and tricks, some things that you didn't know that Outlook Web could even do, right? How many of you are going to start using it today? Of course you should.
Me.
There you go. Perfect. Take the challenge for 30 days. If there are any things that are not working inside of your Outlook Web or icons that you don't see or some other additional assistance that you need, reach out to us, please. We'll be glad to help you and show you the way. But take the challenge. I think you'll be really, really pleased. And be on the lookout for all the great changes that are coming through inside of here. I think it'll be a better experience for everybody. Awesome.
Thank you, Rick.
It was my pleasure. Everybody, please stay safe and stay in good health. And if there's anything more that we can do, just let us know. In 2 weeks, Alyssa, what is our next one that we have in 2 weeks? Can we look at the calendar real quick and see that? Maybe I can see that.
I think it's SharePoint.
Yeah, next, yes.
September 1st is SharePoint, I think.
Yep, September the 1st. Sandra, this will definitely be one that you'll be very interested in. September the 1st, we are doing a webinar on using SharePoint. I know it's new for a lot of you. There's a lot of cool stuff that'll come out of that. So mark your calendars. We'll send a reminder out to you as well. But come join us.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Great.
buddy.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, guys.